What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to another episode of Truck Talk, brought to you by me, inspired by my man Chili. Thank you guys for being here this morning. I'm probably going to say things right here on this Truck Talk episode that a lot of people aren't going to like, and some of the things I'm going to say are completely contrary to our current culture and what we think is true or not true. But that's okay, man, because generally I don't beat around the bush. If you've been watching for a while, you probably know that. Now, with all the stuff that's been going down over the last few weeks, obviously we see that the Democrats are going to put forth, apparently, Kamala Harris for the presidential candidate within the Democratic Party. Now, I think if they're smart, they'll cancel that decision and they will choose Michelle Obama as their candidate. If they cared, if this is even a real competition, that's what they would do. But we'll see. But nonetheless, both of the potential Democratic presidential candidates are women. Apparently, that's what we have to look at and potentially choose from. Now, a lot of you guys say, well, what's that have to do with anything, Chad? And what's wrong with a woman being the president of the United States? Well, before I go into that, let me tell you guys straight up, before I start talking about women in leadership roles, let me tell you, here at 307 Project, we train people. And I have trained hundreds and hundreds of people over the course of the last 3 years doing really difficult things. You guys know one of our training missions is called the Rite of Passage. It's 24 hours of continuous movement through the mountains of North Georgia. It's really, really hard. I've trained hundreds and hundreds of people. And so what I want to tell you is that from everything that I have seen over the course of the last few years, women are generally now stronger than men. So a lot of our students are women. To my knowledge, I've only seen one woman quit on any of our courses. Only one has ever quit. I've seen dozens and dozens and dozens of men quit, give up, freaking moan and groan and cry and flop around and act like a bunch of sad sacks. So generally, when I have women come out and train with me, I don't even worry about them. I just go ahead and assume that they're going to do well and that they're going to make it through the training mission no matter how hard it gets. That's pretty crazy, right? That's pretty crazy. Now, this whole thing with women, a woman president, what's wrong with that? Well, the next thing that I got to say is I'm going to talk to you from the Bible right now, here in just a minute. And it's not the way Chad made it. It's the way God made it. So if you get upset, well, you can just be mad at God. Don't be mad at Chad, because I'm just telling you what we can learn from how he told us he operates and how he created the laws of nature. So you can be mad at God and, hey man, just go ahead and figure out where that leads you. It ain't going to be good. I've read to you guys before from a passage in Isaiah. It's actually Isaiah chapter 3, and it is where God is pronouncing his judgment upon a nation, the nation of Israel. And it goes through and it really gives you a really pretty picture of how God's judgment works. And it works the way it works, just naturally, right? God's judgment befalls a nation or a people just naturally, because they're being judged because they turn their back on the natural order of things, the way God created them, the way he deemed them to be. So when we turn our backs on the natural order, created order that God has put forth, his judgment just naturally comes to pass. And as we get toward the end of chapter 3, we see that part of God's judgment is that women and children will rule over the nation that is being judged. In verse 12 particularly it says, "O my people, their oppressors are children, and women will rule over them. O my people, those who guide you lead you astray and confuse the direction of your paths." So we see in part of the natural unfolding of God's judgment upon a people or a nation is that eventually we get to the point where we're being oppressed by children and women will rule over us. Now that's the natural order of things. That's what happens when men become so weak that they can no longer lead. That's what happens. And we see that if you read the full chapter, you'll see how that progresses, how God's judgment also involves taking away the mighty man and the man who can lead, and the nation becomes ruled by women. So would it surprise me at all if Kamala Harris is installed as president or Michelle Obama is installed as president? Would it surprise me at all? No, it wouldn't surprise me at all, because it's right along the path that we're headed. All right. Again, a lot of you guys are upset with this. I could do a whole you could do a whole series of sermons on woman and how they are unique, how they are special, how they were specifically created for certain purposes that man was not created for, and how that man and woman work together in order to form the most complete picture of God's design for us as humans here on earth. We don't have time for that. I'm just going to go ahead. I'm just pointing out on this episode that when you see women ruling over a nation, that is part of God's judgment upon that nation. When you see the people being oppressed by children, which I think you understand how that's happening here in America right now. When you see us being ruled over by women and capricious children, you can be rest assured that that is the natural order of God's judgment. And that's getting right toward the end. That's getting right toward the end there. So whether you like it or not, that's the way it is. And it wouldn't surprise me at all. All of y'all think, man, if this whole election thing is even real, which I'm very much so not convinced that it is, but all of y'all think that Donald Trump's got it won, he's got it whooped, and everybody's just kind of relaxing. Even me, I felt guilty of that. Oh, well, there's no way he can't win this next election. I'm going to tell you, there's a lot of things that can happen between now and November. That's if it's all real anyways. Again, I have to always say that caveat. So, I'll be right here with you guys. I love you, man. If you got anything out of this episode, go get you a hat, get you a t-shirt. It means a lot to me to know that you guys are repping 307 Project gear out all over this country, that you guys would spend your hard-earned money to support us and what we do here on this channel. Check them out, 307project.com. I love you guys. I'll catch you next time. Enough said.